YouTubers, and welcome to the new year of 2022. For this year, I've kind of made a New Year's resolution that I need to do more videos. And I have two hobbies that you're probably aware of that I have on this channel. One is model railroading with the Des Moines Valley Railroad. Also have a museum of traffic control with various traffic controllers and signals, lights, railroad memorabilia, and so on. And I wanted to start a series on some of the controllers that I have and basic operation, and just kind of show you some of these things because they aren't out in the wild much anymore, and kind of want to preserve them, and the video will help preserve them even beyond when they finally decide to die. So I've had a few that have passed away over the few years with just the circuits going bad and things like that. Electromechanicals, luckily so far, I've been able to resuscitate and keep them going since there's a lot of mechanical components to them. But for a lot of these electronic controllers, when they're done, there's not a lot of parts you can get. So I have two examples here. This is the EMC 2000 on the left. It's a two-phase controller, and the EMC 4000 on the right, which is a four-phase controller, both made by Econolite. These were probably came out in the early 70s. This was probably right after NEMA the standards took place, since the plugs on them are all standardized, versus earlier Econolite controllers that had a different unique connector to them. So with these, this is before the push button stage. A lot of controllers in this era either used little pins, which I'll show you in a future installment, little pins to program the various times, or had these little dip switches. And I can zoom in here a little bit to show you those. These all used little dip switches that were all binary, and by flipping the switches over to the timing on the left there, you can add up the times to the various intervals. So for like minimum green, you'll see on the top left there that 1 and 2 are flipped, so that's 3 seconds of minimum green. Phase 1 didn't have any pedestrian timing, so those are left off. The vehicle extension, this is the timing beyond the minimum green, as cars would trigger the sensors in the road, how much additional time it would give, up to the maximum, and in this case I have it set at 16 seconds. There's a max 2 that by energizing a different pin on the plug through coordination and such, you can extend the time to a second max time. That's kind of the long and the short of how it goes. At the very bottom here there is a mode, and the manual does say, actually not just the manual, but I guess there is a cheat sheet on these as well. So by selecting the switches at the bottom, you can select them off as no phase. 1, non-locking, which is the detection. 2, locking, so once the vehicle has gone over the detector, it locks in the call. 3, vehicle recall. 4, pedestrian recall. 5, pedestrian recall and recall to max. That's the max time that we showed. And 6, just recall to max. So if the intersection doesn't have PED signals, you don't have to worry about the PED recall. And then 7 is semi-mode, which is the main street resting at green and walk. And then when a vehicle comes to the side street, it then proceeds to don't walk, flashing don't walk on the main, and then yellow, red, and then service the side street. So that's kind of the long and the short of the lists. There also is another cheat sheet up here about the different intervals. So as it lights up, if there aren't any lights, it's the initial green walk. When one lights up, it's the like a vehicle extension or walk hold. I think walk hold, it flashes, if I remember right. Number 2 is just max green only, and then pedestrian clear is flashing with just 3. If 2 and 1 is lit, that'd be 3. That's green rest. Number 4, vehicle clear, which is your yellow. 5 if you have an all red programmed. It would be 4 and 1 lit, and 6 red transfer. And that is at the beginning of some of the phases. So that's kind of the long and the short of how that works. Alright, well, let's kick this one on and watch it run. So during the first cycle, you can see I don't have anything programmed into 3 here because it's all off. The lights aren't lit there. The first serviced phase is phase 4. That's indicated by the steady light on top. And then the lights over here, pedestrian clear, is lit. And now yellow. And then all red. And now we've switched over to phase 1. Phase 1 is being timed with a minimum green vehicle extension, and then again minimum yellow. It's not selected, it's 3 seconds, and it's doing that now. And now we've switched right into phase 2, which is lit by the steady light there. The light at the top is steady, that's the current phase being serviced. If the light is flashing, that means that it is the next phase being serviced, which in this case will be this light here for that phase, since we skip over 3. So now it's timing the max, and after it times out the max time, then you'll watch this light flash for phase 4, which will be the next service that's called. And then we'll go into phase 4 timing. There we go, it's flashing yellow for phase 2. And now we're into phase 4, and walk is being serviced. And then usually that's about a 7-second. And then now we go into the pedestrian clearance, which depending on how wide the intersection is, that's how they time that, 4 feet per second average back in the day. Time it took to cross. And so this controller just kind of then goes back and forth, back and forth. And again, it's set up right now as a recall by the mode switches down here. We've got a 5 ped recall and recall to max on that. And on this one we've got 6, which is just recall to max because it doesn't have a pedestrian phase at this point. So then it'll just keep cycling back and forth, back and forth. They can be selected to be vehicle actuated, which was the little either a pressure switch in the street, or a radar, or there's a couple other modes, and as well as the inductive loop that a lot of us have seen in the street. So that's kind of the long and the short of these kinds of controllers. Workhorses for many years. Really kind of cool. Fun to program. Nice little signal controllers. Again, this is the EMC 2000, EMC 4000. There's also an EMC 8000, which I once had, but it unfortunately suffered the death that I explained earlier, so no longer. Homage to that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe, and we will have future videos as we go. Thank you.